Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. Welcome to Being Here. I'm Ariel.
I'm Shya, and today's program,
Podcast. Why not?
podcast, used to be a radio show, so it's a program. Today's podcast is You Matter.
You know, there are times you don't think you matter, but guess what? There's one incredible word in there. Think.
Right.
You don't think you matter, but you do. And today's episode of Being Here, if you listen, chances are you'll get in touch with the experience of mattering.
Right. And listening is a skill set that you get better at when you intentionally hear what another person is saying from their point of view, and you don't pass it through your system of judgments of like, dislike, good, bad, right, wrong, where you just allow what's being said to come into you. What that will do really is pull you into the current moment of your life. You get distracted from the current moment by the internal conversation that you have about what you like or dislike or agree with or disagree with in your current environment. So today we're going to play a game called Being Here, and you'll discover, if you do, that you matter just by being here and listening.
In that vein, I want to thank you for listening. We normally thank our listeners toward the end of the show. We're grateful to have all the people who regularly subscribe, which if you haven't done that yet, you can do that. The podcast can come to you each week, or the people who go through the archives and find the shows that have speak to them, say, oh, I want to listen to that one. However you go about listening, thank you for being part of this community and listening to Being Here.
Yes. So let's take our first guest.
Yes, let's. Marin, welcome to Being Here. And please tell people where you're zooming in from.
Hi, I'm zooming in from Brussels in Belgium. Good to see you.
So nice to see you and hear you. I know they're all hearing you, so it's lovely.
What can we do for you here?
Yeah. I'm a little upset. I just learned today that my parents caught COVID. They're both sick. And they live in Germany. They're not in Belgium anywhere near. They're in the late 70s. So yeah, and you know, when I wonder, I matter, you matter, what can I do? You know, there's always this reaction, you want to do something in order to matter, to make a difference. And there's just nothing really I can do, or I feel there's nothing I can do for them at the moment.
Well, let's get esoteric for a moment, shall we?
Okay.
What if the way you're being, your parents can feel that?
So if you're sending encouragement and love and virtual chicken soup,
and if you are well in yourself,
they think of you, they tune in, and it gives them a boost.
Yeah, and it gives them an ability to relax. They don't have to worry about you. They only have to take care of themselves. But if you're upset, then they can't do anything about your upset. I mean, I'm reminded of a time that my father was in his very last year of life, and my sister's husband got very sick, and she wanted to tell him about her husband being sick. And I suggested that she didn't, because he didn't need to worry about my brother-in-law's well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your parents don't need to worry about you. They just need to get better. And if you are well in yourself, they'll feel that in their universe somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm not in my 70s. I'm 64. Shai's 81. We recently had COVID, and there were a number of people who reached out to us, all of whom were sending us messages of support, but nobody was worrying about us. If they had been, I likely would have felt a pressure to reassure them rather than just letting the illness run its course.
Okay.
Now, one of the really neat things is our approach, Marin, is anthropologically based, not psychologically based. So, an anthropologist is a person who studies cultures and how they're put together without judging what he or she sees. So, as an anthropologist, looking at yourself, there is a culture of one. It's the culture of Marin. And in there is all of the things that we've absorbed, and in your case, that you've absorbed about what it takes to be a good person, what shows that you're caring,
and what it takes to be a good daughter.
And so you may have in real time the reality that there's nothing you can do, but internalized is the pressure that you should drop everything, go to Germany, risk yourself by being in the apartment, taking care of all of whatever those mind schematics are. And if you watch it without judging it, it releases, and what becomes obvious is what's actually appropriate.
Yeah, that mind schematic, it's always about doing something. It'll do something. Yeah, that really is the culture. It's true.
Well, of course it is.
That's the way our world has been. We've been trained to do. We have not been trained to just be, and in our presence, have that be enough to create magic. It does.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I can't recall if it was on a video or a podcast that we did recently, but I got an image before of near our house. We have a mill, an old mill on a river that has a water wheel, and the water wheel fills with water, rotates. In the 1700s, it used to grind flour,
wheat into flour
for around this area. So it's always being filled with new water, and the water drops out, and then more water comes in, and the water drops out. This is not the first time I've heard you say, I'm upset because your water wheel has these upset troughs. And sometimes they're filled with, my son is not behaving or not talking to me. Sometimes they're filled with, my parents are ill. Sometimes that trough of upset is filled with, my business is a little down this week. And if you realize that you have preset troughs ready to fill with today's circumstances, you don't have to actually follow the upset, because it's just a trough. And one thing I've discovered going to the river, they sometimes put a wedge in there, and the water just goes by, and the troughs don't fill and empty. They're just sitting there empty.
That's a beautiful image. I like that. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, talks to me.
Sweet.
Yeah. Thank you. That's reassuring. I love it. Thanks very much.
Yeah. One last thing before we end this segment and our conversation with you. I found, as my parents were ill, or if we're ill, or we have friends who are ill, if I'm being here, it becomes obvious if there's anything that needs to be done.
But when you're doing things to avoid feeling, then you don't see the appropriate things that need to be done because you're busy doing something.
Yeah.
And
Great.
it's so much easier to get lost in doing and just be there and look and see what's wanted and needed and then provide it.
Right. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's that time.
The time for what?
Our listener feedback spotlight.
What is that?
Well, I'm so proud of the people who listen to this show. And now we get to hear from one or more of them about what's happening in their lives with transformation by listening to this podcast and
what they've discovered about life, what they've discovered about their lives, that they are experiencing fun in their lives.
And that they want to share it with you.
Yeah.
This is Tia from Radville, Saskatchewan in Canada. And I just feel very thankful for what transformation has brought to my life and my relationship with my husband, with my kids, with everyone around me. Actually, it has deepened the feeling of love and brought me so much peace within myself and awareness that I'm not going anywhere and that where I am is exactly where I want to be.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
Our next Living Made Easy seminars are this Saturday and the following Monday. Our weekend seminars we have coming up: Being Alive at Camp Tecumseh, March 24th, 25th, and 26th.
And Step Into Your Brilliance, April 22nd and 23rd.
That's a Saturday and Sunday.
And that one's virtual.
Yes. Camp Tecumseh is
in person.
And sleepaway camp for big kids. We did it in the fall and it was awesome. It was so wonderful to be together in person. I wouldn't sacrifice being with people regularly on Zoom, but it's really nice to mix in the in-person courses as well. So if you'd like to come to any or all of our seminars, you can just go register or find out more at transformationmadeeasy.com. And a shout out, 2 shout outs. First is to Pamela. This was, she suggested this theme. And also to our friends, Joe and Candice, and their baby or young toddler, Violet. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Violet.
Yes.
All right, let's take our next guest.
Tanya.
Welcome to being here. Tell people where you're zooming in from.
I'm zooming in from Union County, New Jersey, which is in the central part of the state. And I'm happy to be here.
That's great.
We're happy to have you. What a treat.
Thank you.
Good for you.
Thanks.
Do you have a question for us or something you'd like to talk about?
Sure, I would. I am a real estate agent. It's a second career for me. I had many years in working in local municipal government. And now I'm in a sales role whereby, we make our living commission only, and sales and selling is important. We have to definitely be in a position to prospect for business, and that's how we'll ensure our success. I'm 4 years in this, and it's going a little bit slower than I would like. I guess my major question is, they say if you stop trying, that's when you fail,
Who's the they?
I try to
Tanya,
look at, yes.
Tanya, darling, who's the they
Is that coaches at your real estate company or?
No, I try to listen to self-help um, people on the internet, on just through books, or I pick up little tidbits here and there for encouragement during the
Yeah.
day. And I'm trying to know within myself that I should be confident about continuing this path.
Okay, so look, slow down a little bit, okay? First off, you are competent. I would buy from you in a minute, but I have some suggestions. You know, the they that tell you how to be, that, you know what I'm talking about? You shook your head no, so I'll try again. You said they say that if you stop trying, you fail.
Yes.
I listen to Tim McGraw. He's a country music star, and he has a song that says, "Who are they?" Tell you, so who is the they that tell us how to be? You know, and I wonder about that because we learn to think and believe what we hear as though it's reality. You know, I'm not saying you should stop trying, but I have a suggestion.
Okay.
And that's you really listen to your prospective clients and hear what they're looking for. Rather than try to make a sale, take care of them and you'll make more sales. But you see, if you have the agenda to make a sale, you'll put pressure on them to take what isn't the perfect house for them because you want something. You want to get paid because
Now,
you're on commission.
I know you're nodding, but it's good if you do verbal because they won't get to, that listeners won't get a chance to see
I
you.
hear. Yes, and, and I work with buyers and trying to work with more sellers alike. And I know that being able to resolve their issues or help them with their problems will certainly bring about a better outcome for them. If they've decided to make this change and they're moving now, sometimes there's obstacles that come with that. So I do want to smooth out the whole process for them. So it's not just me, of course. I would like to be able to make an income at it, but it's just having the number of clients to work with is an obstacle.
Well, see, I know you say that it's an obstacle, and I get that. If you don't have clients, you're not going to make a commission, whether it's with a seller or a buyer. But how you are describing things reminds me of change. In change, you've got obstacles and problems and solutions. And of course, there are problems and solutions when dealing with somebody who's purchasing a house. So it's not about getting rid of the change. It's about putting your foot or stepping into an additional or another reality, which is transformational, which includes those things, but isn't based in a problem solution framework. Because oddly enough, as I'm looking at you and I'm listening to you, the impression I have is the kinder you are to yourself, the more you'll be a magnet for clients.
Oh, okay.
They'll come into your proximity and they'll relax and think, yes, this is the person I want to work with.
This is someone I can trust because they're real. See, look, we've all been pressured by salespeople. And, when Ariel and I used to do a lot of shopping, and we'd walk into a store and we'd be looking at, say, clothes. And if a salesperson came over and put pressure on us, we would just leave the store because we like to do it our way. And I'm sure it's the same in every sales type of environment, including real estate.
Yes.
And they want somebody to be there for them, but not pressure them to do anything. See, you need to allow people to reach their own conclusions, especially on something like a home that they're
Yeah.
buying, because they're going to have to live there. You know, the house we live in, this was the first house we saw
Oh,
inside. And we walked in and we said, this is the house for us. But we told our real estate agent at the time, you have to show us a dozen more houses now.
So that we are really clear that we're not settling. And
Okay.
every, like, yep, this is the right one. It ended up being perfect.
That's
But
great.
you just had an impression of what we might like. Now, I know you said something about prospecting for clients.
Yes.
And it reminds me of back when I was acting. And of course, in order to act, you needed to get yourself out there so people would know you're available and they'd want to hire you for a job. So it's got a similarity in a certain respect. Interestingly enough, when I stopped picking on myself, it was very interesting how I got jobs. So I'm circling back around to that.
If you're being
idea.
kind to yourself, people will feel better being around you. And they'll trust you more, and they'll be more willing to have you support them in what they're up to, because you become a role model of well-being rather than this neurotic person trying to get a sale to happen here.
I hear you loud and clear. And that does make sense. Yes.
You know, when I moved to New York City, I was really young. I was like 19, and I was studying and I was trying to become an actress. Hence the word trying. You got to try. And I wasn't working. I was studying. And then I did my first transformational weekend seminar. And I came out of it. And in that following week, and this is 5 years after moving to New York City, the week after that seminar, I went out. I auditioned for 3 roles and I got all 3 roles. And
Wow.
I really recall in one of them auditioning, and the director saying to me, well, you've been here for quite some time and I don't see any work on your resume. Do you think you're ready now? And I looked him in the eye. I said, yes, I am. And he went, oh, well, callbacks are on Wednesday. And I got a role in that show. There was something about being okay with me that made it okay to hire me.
That's another thing. If you have attention on how you're doing, that gets in the way.
Oh.
You should give up worrying about how you're doing. I'll tell you this, you're doing great, okay?
Thank you.
That's the starting place. If you have your attention on you, you cannot have your attention on your clients and what they need.
I see. That makes perfect sense. It does.
You're divided, you see, because you're hoping to win rather than hoping to take care of these people so they win.
Okay. Yes.
If they win, you win. But if you win, they may not.
You know, I have one other thought for you in particular, and I'm sure it applies to our listeners as well. I know that there's at least one person in our community who had a very recent change to become a real estate agent, and she's very quickly become one of the top agents in the agency. And aside from investing in herself and listening regularly with seminars with us, I see that she's available. And whether you know, after this, we connect with you and connect the two of you to chat, or there are other people in our community, or I'm sure you have communities we know nothing about. I do know that I have friends who are very supportive of me, where just in a casual conversation, I go away feeling empowered and better about myself. And not that I felt bad to begin with, but there's something expansive about having a support structure of friends who you allow to like you.
However, there is a what do they call that?
A caveat?
A caveat. And that is that you need to like you in order to have them like you.
Otherwise, they're annoying.
Okay.
For me, I'm fine.
That's good.
I see what you're saying. Yes. Okay, I agree.
You have to be willing to allow you to be great. And when I said great, I saw a shift in your face.
Great. What?
Great.
Ooh, ah.
Good. Okay. Great. I don't know.
I do want to be great. I want to be successful.
Well, you are already
Ready
successful.
successful.
And that's the problem, because you think your success is based on what you produce rather than you are successful, and anything you do, you are producing successfully.
Okay.
You're thinking the win will make you successful. I'm saying you're successful to start with, and so anything you do is a success.
Okay. Wow. Oh, that feels better. That feels better. I'm always seeing it in terms of the number of transactions. I'm comparing myself to others.
Exactly.
I think that is one of the most
Deleterious.
debilitating and
Deleterious.
it's a pitfall to compare. Of course, you need to have a baseline of what's a healthy business, but comparing to how other people are doing always has a downside to it. Comparison is such a killer.
Okay.
And even comparing to where you think you should be by now.
Yes.
You know, even recently for people with COVID, it's like, well, I think I should be over this by now. We're also used to comparing to what a better us would be like. And it's an unrealistic standard.
Okay. Sounds good. I feel a little weight lifted from me then. It feels better.
That's great.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
You don't need to go into this thing called sales with a weight on your shoulders. You can be light, and you can be self-expressive, and you can be as beautiful as you are, and you'll sell houses.
Thank you very much. I
And
appreciate
I
it.
don't give compliments just to give compliments. You're a beautiful being, and there's really nothing wrong with you except your thoughts about yourself.
Thank you. Hit it on the head right there.
Because if you could see you through our eyes, you'd see how magnificent you
Okay.
already are.
One quick extra thing. You will never get rid of those thoughts. They are hardwired. You just become capable to not have to listen to them. Everyone has thoughts like that. Everyone does. But it doesn't make them real.
The thoughts.
Okay.
Hey,
Sounds
thanks
good.
for
Joining
jumping in.
us.
I know you're relatively new to this community and to our approach, and really appreciate you jumping in and being on the podcast today. You know,
And the other thing is this, my dear, your selling houses can be easy. It doesn't have to be difficult.
just
Thank you.
trying on that as a new hat. You know, it's like a new
Yeah, I am going to new attitude.
a new look for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Selling made easy. Yeah. Thanks.
I appreciate you both.
We
Thank you.
appreciate you as well.
We do.
If you'd like to be a guest or submit a listener spotlight, go to transformationmadeeasy.com/being here and find out how. You would be welcome. Next week's episode
Is FOGO.
Fear of Going Out. It's a new phenomenon.
It is.
We'll talk more about it next week. So come on back.
And don't miss
Being here.